गिरिवरधारी गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदा यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे Hare Krsna Hare Krsna Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krsna Hare Krsna Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krsna Hare Krsna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Stottar Satasri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Prem se kaho Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada Anuga ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, The Passing Away of Bhishma Deva, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 37. We are observing Bhishma Panchaka, so we are reading a few shlokas from Bhishma Deva's pastime. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratignyam ritam adhikartum avapluto ratastaha dhritarata charano abhyaya chalat ghur Haririva hantum ibham gattottariya. If you have got the phone with you or anything, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 37. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratignyam ritam adhikartum avapluto ratastaha Dhritarata abhyaya chaladgur Haririva hantum ibham gattottariya. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratignyam ritam adhikartum avapluto ratastaha Dhritarata charano abhyaya chaladgur Haririva hantum ibam gattottariya. Swanigamam, own truthfulness. Apahaya, for nullifying. Mat pratigyam, my own promise. Ritam, factual. Adhi, more. Kartam, for doing it. Avuplataha, getting down. Ratastaha, from the chariot. Dhrita, taking up. Ratha, chariot. Charanaha, wheel. Abhyayat, went hurriedly. Chaladguhu, trampling the earth. Harihi, lion. Iva, like. Hantum, to kill. Ibham, elephant. Gata, leaving aside. Uttariyah, covering cloth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Fulfilling my desire and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel and ran towards me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. This is Bhishma Deva recollecting Kṛṣṇa on the battlefield, and Bhishma Deva is now on the bed of arrows, going to pass away. So he is recollecting what happened on the battlefield and how Kṛṣṇa broke his promise. Purport: the battle of Kurukshetra was fought on military principles, but at the same time in a sporting spirit, like a friend's fight with another friend. Duryodhana criticized Bhishma Deva, alleging that he was reluctant to kill Arjuna because of paternal affection. A Kshatriya cannot tolerate such insults on the principle of fighting. Bhishma Deva therefore promised that the next day he would kill all 5 Pandavas with special weapons made for the purpose. Duryodhana was satisfied, and he kept the arrows with him to be delivered the next day during the fight. By tricks, Arjuna took the arrows from Duryodhana, and Bhishma Deva could understand that this was the trick of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So he took a vow the next day Kṛṣṇa would have to take up weapons himself. Otherwise his friend Arjuna would die. In the next day's fighting, Bhishma Deva fought so violently that both Arjuna and Kṛṣṇa were in trouble. Arjuna was almost defeated. Situation was so tense that he was about to be killed by Bhishma Deva the very next moment. At that time, Lord Kṛṣṇa wanted to please his devotee Bhishma by keeping Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own. Seemingly, he broke his own promise. He promised before the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra that he would remain without weapons and would not use his strength for either of the parties. But to protect Arjuna, he got down from the chariot, took up the wheel of the chariot and hurriedly rushed at Bhishma Deva in an angry mood, as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He dropped his covering cloth on the way, and out of great anger he did not know that he had dropped it. Bhishma Deva at once gave up his weapons and stood to be killed by Kṛṣṇa, his beloved Lord. The fighting of the day was thus ended at that very moment, and Kṛṣṇa was saved. Of course, there was no possibility of Arjuna's death, because the Lord himself was on the chariot. But because Bhishma Deva wanted to see Lord Kṛṣṇa take up some weapon to save his friend, the Lord created the situation, making Arjuna's death imminent. He stood before Bhishma Deva to show him that his promise was fulfilled and that he had taken up the wheel. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshadarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Kṛṣna Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It's a very beautiful shloka from the Bhagavatam. You must picture Bhishma Deva lying on the bed of arrows. It is very painful. And he is speaking to the Pandavas. He is speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Kṛṣṇa is making an arrangement. Yudhishthira Maharaj is very depressed because he thinks it is because of me that so many people died in the battle. 600 million people died. Kurukshetra war. How many? 600 million people. There has never been such a big war. Second World War, Third World, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th will not be so big. Huge war. If 600 million people have died, the decision to fight the war, that's why Arjuna did not want to fight the war. Right? Because if he fights, he will kill. These are all very powerful warriors. And they are also very noble. Noble warriors. They are not ordinary fighters like we are having wars now. Ukraine war, that war. No, it's all not noble. Nothing good about those personalities. Very cheap people. For political reasons, for material reasons they fight. These are all fighting for dharmic reasons. Dharma yuddham. Right? That is what they are fighting for. So you will see that Bhishma is so generous that simply depend on Kṛṣṇa only. Bhishma is being asked by Yudhishthira before the war. He comes all the way to Yudhishthira on the opposite side. Comes all the way to Bhishma. Yudhishthira comes to Bhishma on the opposite side and asks him, I am confident of everybody else in this war, defeating them. Only you. How to kill you? He is asking to Bhishma. He is directly asking how to finish you. Because he is very close to Bhishma, like my grandfather. So this is war, like Prabhupada is saying, it's done in a sporting spirit. It's based on military principles. 2 points Prabhupada said, very important. You cannot say no to me because you are my elder, you are my guru, you are my grandfather. You have to reveal to me how to kill you. Because I want to win the war. Because you said Ayushman Bhava, you said blessings, you will be victorious. So I won't ask you. So they are bound by what they say. So Bhishma was caught. He's coming and asking Yudhishthira, and he's Dharmaraj. So he looked at his boy and said, very smart fellow. But at the same time I have to answer. So he smiled and he said, not now, at the right time I will tell you. He postponed it. He said, at the right time I will tell you. So Yudhishthira noted that, okay, I will come at the right time. He left. But he had already taken the blessings of Bhishma and he is also asking how to kill you. And he is the toughest person, Bhishma. He was fought and won against Parshurama also. In the history you will see that. So they calculated and said, Bhishma is the only person. He is on our side, but in the war he is on the other side. And he will do his duty very perfectly. Since he will do his duty very perfectly, it's very difficult for us to actually beat him. What's the special extra acknowledgement being given here for every point I make? So, this is the challenge. So you see how in Kshatriya spirit, even Duryodhana, he will keep up the Kshatriya spirit, although he is an Asura. That's the important thing. Nobility, culture, high class relationships. I keep up my word. I'm a Kshatriya. I'll do what I say. So that's why Prabhupada is very shortly telling this story here, which is a very exciting story. Because on the war field, Arjuna has got these sentiments, my grandfather. I'm not going. Because right from the young age, he's keeping them on their lap, petting them, kissing them, teaching them stories, teaching them so many wonderful things. And today I have to fight my father, my grandfather. And I am very good at fighting. My grandfather is also very good at fighting. He is more experienced. He has fought even Parshurama. Right? So you can imagine, they don't give up relationships between a personality because of difference of opinion on the basis of your occupation or your varnashrama. This is very close relative, more than relative, Bhishma. But he is acknowledging that you do your Kshatriya duty, I will do my Kshatriya duty. I am fighting for Duryodhana because I have given word for the Kaurava whole dynasty that I will protect from the beginning. To my father Shantanu Maharaj I have told. So it's a very big history. We don't have time to recollect all that. But since he has given that this thing, he also keeps up the Kshatriya spirit. Normally when we get a difference of opinion with somebody in our profession, we have good relationships. But when it comes to doing something together in business, in the office, when you have difference of opinion, we cut off the relationship also. My personal relationship also I cut off. Because you did this, you did this, you did this. This is a very small individuals, very weak individuals. Even inside our society, you see sometimes when there's management differences, they completely cut off with the other person. Hare, he's another spirit soul serving Kṛṣṇa, right? But you can't manage it because you're very small people. But you have to be a very large person in order to manage differences of opinions plus keep up your relationships. And oftentimes you are challenged with that. But here you see Bhishma will do everything fully, whatever is necessary. And on the battlefield also this great Leela is that same type of relationship with Kṛṣṇa in Bhakti he has. Kṛṣṇa doesn't give it up, Bhishma also doesn't give it up. But I am fighting on the opposite side, so I'll do what I am supposed to do. This is what happened here. That is the good element, that is the exciting thing in this Leela. Because what happens is that Duryodhana is telling, I think you are not giving your best. He's telling Bhishma, you are not giving your best. Because I think you have affection for the Pandavas. He knows where to hurt him and get the best out of him. All Kshatriyas are like that only. If I am the leader, I will also do that to you. Nadani, useless fellow. Because I want to get the best out of you for the war. So everybody will do that. So Duryodhana said, I'll make him give his best. Where to poke him, I know. So he came and said, I know you're very affectionate to the Pandavas. I know you don't like me. But you know, you are a Kshatriya, you're fighting on this side. It's your duty to fight with full spirit. You're not giving your full spirit. I think that affection is spoiling you. How dare you say that? You get that feeling? He wants to arouse that feeling in Bhishma. Bhishma is a powerful Kshatriya. And he is known to be so powerful. His history is so wonderful. So he said, you are such a fool here. He told him, you are a fool. Because I told you to make up with the Pandavas. You will never win against the Pandavas. They are definitely materially better. They are even spiritually better because they got Kṛṣṇa on their side. So at least according to proper calculation, I told you to save our whole kingdom, you could have made a good relation, but because of you, this happened. And now you fellow are telling me also that you are partial. So he said, okay, what to do? You are like that. So he called him inside and told, don't talk like that to me. I have Kshatriya spirit and you know what I am capable of. You must understand that you will not win because Kṛṣṇa is on the other side. Don't you understand? But you are a fool, you will not understand. So I will do exactly what I am supposed to do as a Kshatriya. So he actually chanted very powerful mantras which he knows. He said, this is for Yudhishthira. This arrow is for Bhima. This is for Arjuna. Like 5 arrows he made in front of him, chanting mantras. If this goes out of my bow, they are dead. There is no chance of anybody saving, not even Kṛṣṇa. He did this and said, tomorrow I'll do it, you don't will. But, he said, anything can happen between this and tomorrow. Because everything depends on Kṛṣṇa. You don't know, you're a fool, but I know. I know. Because whatever he is speaking, Kṛṣṇa knows. Why? Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshu arjuna tishtati. Kṛṣṇa is situated in the heart of Bhishma. There Kṛṣṇa is telling Arjuna, he has come to know. So he is telling Arjuna, you see, why are you so afraid of fighting your, grandfather? He said, I cannot. He got solid fighting happened and that he was a little weak, emotionally weak. So he said, why you are this thing? Then Kṛṣṇa knew this fellow is finished. He is emotionally stuck. He is not so bold as Bhishma and all that. He is emotionally stuck. So the only thing to do is, he said, come with me. Then he told him a story. He told him what happened before. He said, why I am taking you, you have a boon you can ask from Duryodhana. In the meantime, here in this place, Duryodhana is telling Bhishma, can I till tomorrow morning keep these arrows with me? Because something will happen in the night, you will become this thing and Pandavas will come and take it, or you will call them and you will give it, or something will happen. He is Asura, so he thinks like that. He has no faith and trust. He said, okay, keep it with you. Because even if you keep it with you, if Krishna wills, it will happen. So he gave it to him. So Duryodhana bundled, I was so happy. Everything is going as per what I want. Now there is no chance Pandavas will die. Because so many times he has seen Krishna has saved the Pandavas. All the time. Vishad Mahaagne Purushad Darshanat Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrata Mridhe Aneka Maharatashratso Drauni Ashtratas Chasma Hare Bhirakshita. Kunti Devi is recollecting, you saved us every time, you only saved us. Vishan Mahaagne, Visha. My son Bhima was poisoned and thrown in the lake with his hands and legs tied by Duryodhana. He came out even more powerful. Mahaagni, they tried to kill all of us inside the house of wax. Purushada Darshanat, so many man-eaters and so many Rakshasas faced my sons in the forest when they were in the, 14 years of Vanavas. Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrata. In the Asat Sabha, they actually tried to disrobe my daughter-in-law, Draupadi. Vanavasa, then they cheated and sent all of us to the forest. Mridhe Aneka Maharatashtato. And every Maharata shot arrow at my sons and used all sorts of weapons against them. But nobody could get them because of you. Drauni Astratas Tashma Hare Bhirakshita. Drauni means Dronacharya's son. Ashwatthama, he used the Brahmastra and tried to get my only surviving, descendant, Parikshit, in Uttara's womb. That also you only saved. All this time you were only saving all of us, protecting all of us. So everybody knows Pandavas are protected by Krishna. You can't do anything to them. That is their powerful position. But he is Asura, so he does not know that. But Bhishma knows. Duryodhana is Asura, he does not understand, but Bhishma knows. So anyway, he took it and kept. This is what you see, dependence on Krishna and no dependence on Krishna, how you will make decisions. When you don't depend on Krishna, you will take all precautions. Either that precaution, that plug this hole, plug that hole, plug this hole, plug everything you plug, finally it will draw. You will still not be able to make it. You don't depend, but Bhishma is fully depending on Krishna. Take the arrow if you want, because I know if Krishna desires, he will do what he wants to do, even if you take the arrows and keep it under wherever you want to keep it. Doesn't matter. Okay? He knows that. Prabhupada started this movement going to the Western world in a ship, in a cargo ship, with $6 in his pocket and with nothing but Bhagavatam volumes, completely depending on Krishna. Because this is my order, I must do this. If you desire, if you want, it will happen. Full dependence on Krishna, just like Bhishma is depending. And lo and behold, on the other side, exactly like Bhishma thinks, Krishna is telling Arjuna, he started preparing. He's telling Arjuna, once upon a time he gave you a boon. What boon Duryodhana can give me? When did that happen? Then he recollects to him and tells that, when you went to the forest, Duryodhana became very morose, feeling very sad, because people whom I am envious of are not near me. Because if I keep torturing them only, I'll get happy. அவங்க பக்கத்தில் இல்லைன்னா எனக்கு ஒரே உதாசமாக இருக்கு. I want to keep on notifying them, do something, and suffering. Then that's the. But I send them to the forest now. They are not here at all. ஒரு மாசம் முடிஞ்சது. It is very boring. Because my main hobby was to teach the Pandavas. Morning to evening, I am so envious. I am thinking about them. அவங்களுக்கு இப்படி பண்ண அது பண்ண something other I am thinking. But now I am not able to do anything because I sent off them to the forest here. Big punishment, okay, but I am not happy. I have to go to the forest and see them suffering, then I will be happy. How they are suffering in the forest, I should see. So this is Paradukka Sukhi. A Vaishnava is Paradukka Dukhi. He sees somebody suffering, he also feels sad. But he is Paradukka Sukhi. He's suffering. Oh, I like it very much. That type of a fellow. So they all plan, both of them, Shakuni and he plan. Because Shakuni tells, I know why you are sad. Then he says, how do you know why I am sad? I am not sad. Then he says, I know this is the reason you are sad. Then he says, how do you know? Because I am also feeling the same thing. That is why I want to make a proposal to you. What's the proposal? Rendu perum சேர்ந்து we will go and see them and teach them more in the forest. So this is unnecessary trouble they did actually. Sending to the forest is one thing, going there again and doing something, that was unnecessary. But they got stuck in that. So envious, so envious. So they gave some excuse to Dhritarashtra and took all the cattle and went to the forest. In the forest, there was a huge lake, very beautiful lake. And Duryodhana put camp opposite of the lake, because on the other side of the lake, the Pandavas were doing Devaya Namaha, Krishnaya Namaha. They were doing Dhaumya Rishi was doing for them every day. And they were in barks, matted hair, eating potato, sabji, and a little bit like fruits and roots. We are doing Bhishma Panchaka like that every day. They were eating little bit and doing austerity, walking in the forest with bark and matted hair. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maiki. So you can imagine, he came on the opposite side, made a barbecue fire and dance and this and that and drinking and eating and having feast and everything. He wanted them to see, I am enjoying, you are suffering. This is material life. In material life, relatively speaking, I become happy when I see somebody who is not as happy as me. You see, my karma is much better than. I have greater position, I have more money, I have 2 cars, you have not even 1 car. Therefore, who are you and who am I? Okay, that is happiness. It's relative happiness. So this fellow came to do that there. He's a cheap the Asura. So he was doing that, and Bhima and Arjuna were thinking, look at this rascal, he has come to show off to us. And they both were getting angry and saying, fellow chased us out of the kingdom, now he is coming to the forest also. He's come for this purpose only. They both were talking, but the sacrifice is going on, Yudhishthira. But then what happened is there, Duryodhana was thinking, now all this happened, and then he said, now I want to take a swim and a bath in the lake. In the lake, some other people, local people and all were swimming. So the army of Duryodhana came and said, get out, all of you. Emperor Duryodhana Chakravarti is coming to take bath. So they did not understand. Who Chakravarti? This belongs to us. We have been taking bath for so long. So they said, get out. So they didn't get out. They just looked at them. Because actually they were some other people. They looked at them and kept quiet. So he said, you get out or not, I'll kill you. Blink, they went off inside underwater. Hare? Get out, come on! All that they tried, nothing happened. So they went and told Duryodhana, some people are there inside, they are not coming out. Who is that who dare oppose me? Regular Asura. Come on, let us attack. So he brought the whole army and attack. War. Suddenly from inside the water, a big army of Gandharvas came out. This is not 100 people, 200 people, thousands of people came out of the water and started shooting, fighting like that. And the whole Duryodhana's army, he didn't come for fighting in the forest. He didn't come so well prepared. But inside the water, there were so many people waiting. They came out and finished Duryodhana and his army. They caught hold of Duryodhana. And this side, Bhima and Arjuna were, very good. This fellow needs this. Like that, they were talking and they were discussing which weapon they are using, how they are shooting from inside the water. They were discussing all this. Very good, nice one. Then Yudhishthira stopped and said, don't say like this. You should not think like this. This is not proper dharma. Actually, the Gandharvas belong to some other class. And he is our relative, Duryodhana. You must go and help him. You must fight. And he was helped. Then Bhima said, Appa, this is too much. This is too much. And they were arguing with Yudhishthira. He said, no, you must go. And then Bhima and Arjuna were very surprised. I thought he will die and I will be so happy. And now we have to go. So they took their weapons and they were grumbling and they were going. By that time, Duryodhana is captured. And the Gandharvas told, you don't have to come. We came to protect you only. We know this rascal will do this. And they bought Duryodhana.
So Bhima immediately started smiling and teasing Duryodhana and said, "Hello." And he started, Kshatriyas to do all sorts of things, to arouse their anger, everything. Then he took out his sword and said, "Very soon you'll be dying under my sword, right now, when we reach my brother." Like that he was telling everything, and Duryodhana was very insulted. Can you imagine how they'll do? And Arjuna was not talking anything, just looking at him. Wait, just you wait, we'll show you now. So Duryodhana thought, I'm dead, finished, that's it. But Yudhishthira said, don't do this to him, untie him. Then Bhima and Arjuna argued with him, what do you mean? Just tell me one word, I'll cut off his neck and we'll go to Hastinapura. Everything finished. He said, no, that's not proper. He's our brother. You can't do that type of hatya. It's not proper for a Kshatriya to do that. Then they said, every time he speaks dharma, 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 and we are in the forest, and is no end to this type of thing. So he said, you free him. And we freed him. Then he gave Upadesh to Duryodhana, don't do things like this. If you are a good king, you should do things like this. You should be an example. He gave good advice to him. So Duryodhana was very insulted. Kshatriya feel very insulted when you, okay, you go. I give you your life. That's even more insulting. Better you kill me. Better you kill me. So he said, no, you go. So at that time, Duryodhana turned around to Bhima and Arjuna and said to Arjuna, thank you for giving me life. Ask me anything you want, any boon, I'll give you. At that time, Arjuna said, boon, later I will see what I have to get from you. Go, get out first, because you are very angry. You go. This Kṛṣṇa remembers. Because he is watching from everywhere, from within the heart. So only Kṛṣṇa can know what is happening everywhere. Right? He is knowing what Bhishma Deva is planning, and simultaneously knowing what Shakuni is planning, what Duryodhana is planning, and he is simultaneously knowing what Yudhishthira did to Duryodhana in the forest. All data instantly he knows. Anywhere in the whole creation. That's why he is called Super Soul. He is the Super Soul of the entire creation. So he knows. So he told Duryodhana, now go and ask him for the arrows he has got. Tell him you gave me a boon. Ask him for the arrows. He said, what arrows? Bhishma has given him arrows. Tomorrow you 5 people will die definitely. I can't protect you from that. That is some Kshatriya, this thing, I can't, you go and take the arrows. That's the only way not to die. He told, really, come. And then he took Kṛṣṇa. He took Kṛṣṇa, and then Duryodhana was like, peaceful sleep tonight, tomorrow these 5 guys will die and I will see it. So he put all the arrows under his pillow in the tent, and he was going to sleep. That time Arjuna came inside his tent, and then he said, oh Partha, surrender. How was the beating you got today? You're coming to surrender, he thought. Then behind Kṛṣṇa came. Then when he saw Kṛṣṇa, his face became very small. Why this fellow is here? Must be something is going to happen. But Kṛṣṇa was smiling. How are you, Duryodhana? And that smile, he is very afraid. So Duryodhana was more afraid now that Kṛṣṇa is smiling. And then he said, yes, what can I do for you? At this time of the night you have come. Then he said, you remember you gave me a boon. I saved your life. And he said, yeah, so what? So what? Then he told that, Bhishma gave you arrows, give me those arrows. And then he was wondering, how did you know that? How did you know that? And he looked at Kṛṣṇa and said, it's only because of you. And Kṛṣṇa just smiled. And he said, no, a Kshatriya should keep up his good word. Kṛṣṇa said, Kshatriya should always keep up his good. I appreciate that you're keeping up your good word. And then he took the arrows and dumped it on Arjuna. And they took it and ran away on the chariot. That's it. Duryodhana one day just laid down on the bed and started crying. he remembered what Bhishma said. Jayastu Panduputranam Tasham Pakshe Janardana. Oh, Panduputras will be successful because on their side is Janardana. You will never get them. Krishna protects. And Krishna knows everything. So it is not that, how will Krishna protect? I hid it under the pillow, he does not know, nobody saw. It is nothing that he does not know. It is nothing that he does not know. So Prabhupada is explaining the story here. By some trick, Arjuna got the arrows from Duryodhana. This is described in the Mahabharata. But the point here is, Bhishma is recollecting Krishna's affection for Arjuna. How he is protecting Arjuna another shloka says that how he protected Arjuna on the war. Because this happened, no. He took the arrows and went. The next day, Duryodhana went and told, this happened. Then Bhishma only laughed. He knew. He said, I know. I just know what will happen. You have no chance. I also know I am fighting a losing war, but I am doing my duty. But Krishna is so great, is so wonderful. So he said, no, never mind. I'll tell you, I will fight in such a way today, Duryodhana, because he was fired up. Krishna came and did this. He took my arrows. Now I'm going to, devotee to devotee in devotional service, I will reciprocate. I will make him break his promise. He has promised he will not lift weapons now. You will see what fighting I will do today. He will have to lift weapons. Because one thing is sure, I cannot kill Arjuna. Right? But one thing I can do is to make him break the promise. At least that Duryodhana will be happy. That's all. That day's fighting was very heavy. Because Bhishma, it means, shot such slingy arrows. They were going at such speed and they were pointed so perfectly at Arjuna that Arjuna was not able to fight because it's my grandfather shooting. He's not able to. So it is mentioned that Krishna came and took the arrows on his chest. He protected Arjuna and took the arrows on his chest. And he's described here. On the battlefield, his chest torn open by my arrows. But Bhishma was shooting like nothing. If Krishna was not there, Arjuna was been dead for sure. Because it's not so easy to protect yourself against Bhishma's arrows. But Krishna was desperately protecting Arjuna. It's mentioned that he was swerving the Ratham like this, and putting it up, down, because he is the driver of the Rath, and he can fly in the sky with the Ratham. Fly in the sky and land in some other place. That's all they were doing, all these things there. They are all great Kshatriyas. He was doing all that, but Bhishma was getting him in spite of that. In spite of Krishna doing all these things, Bhishma was getting correctly. His aim was so correct. So the only way to protect Arjuna was to come in between. So Krishna was getting shot. And Arjuna was, what to do? Like that. So then finally, it became so much bad that Krishna became very angry at Bhishma. And he said, he understood that you want me to break a promise. And I would break my promise to keep up your promise. That's what is mentioned here. In order to keep up my promise, he broke his promise. Let my devotee be glorified. It does not matter if I break the promise. So he jumped down from the Ratham. It's mentioned here. Very beautifully mentioned. That is what is happening. Dhritarata charano abhyayat chalat gur. Haririva hantum hibam gatottariya. And that scene is described by him. What he did? He jumped from the Ratham down. Then there was a broken chariot. He took that wheel. And then he came running at Bhishma. Now the focus of Bhishma is on Krishna, not on Arjuna. Why? Because he is coming to fight with him. And his uttariyam fell off. Gatottariya hai. His uttariyam fell off, but he was red. His eyes were red. And he came with the chariot wheel on top of his head. You will see in BBT you have painted that painting. Is very beautiful painting. One huge painting. He will come and that rage at Bhishma. And Bhishma will throw all his weapons and say, this is how I want to die. on the battlefield, smashed by Kṛṣṇa. This is the greatest way to die. So he became ready. He left his all his weapons down. He put his kiridam down and he waited. But by the time Kṛṣṇa came near, the conch shell brew. The war was over. That also by Kṛṣṇa's arrangement. And therefore Kṛṣṇa threw the wheel and gave a tough look to Bhishma and left. Appa, Arjuna was so happy. But Arjuna also jumped behind Kṛṣṇa and held his leg and said, "Don't break your promise, you're not supposed to. Take a weapon against." But Kṛṣṇa did not bother about Arjuna. This person should be satisfied, then only he will stop shooting, then only Arjuna will be saved. That's the way to stop it. So he broke his promise. So it's wonderful. Kṛṣṇa broke his promise for the sake of keeping up Bhishma's promise. Because Bhishma has promised to Duryodhana, I will fight in such a way that I'll make him break his promise. So it was a fight. So Kṛṣṇa actually served Bhishma on the battlefield by allowing him to keep up his promise. Doesn't matter if I break my promise. This is what is going on between Kṛṣṇa and Bhishma. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that don't think that the arrow shot by Bhishma hitting Kṛṣṇa is something bad. In Mahabharata, if you see, you'll think that, wow, Bhishma is so bad shooting Kṛṣṇa on the chest. How dare you do that? He's real asura. How? But the Bhagavatam tells Kṛṣṇa enjoyed those arrows hitting his chest because they were coming from his devotee, Bhishma. And with great love and devotion he was shooting. He knows Kṛṣṇa and all, you can never kill with my arrows. So it is mentioned that Vishwanath Chakravarti is telling that those arrows, like a lover throwing at the loved one lotus at him and it is hitting him. The arrows were like that. And Kṛṣṇa enjoyed those arrows hitting his chest because it's coming from Bhishma. Right? So this is a different rasa, a different type of a devotion that Bhishma and Kṛṣṇa enjoyed. Only in the Bhagavatam can you hear this. If you read Mahabharata, this will not be explained like this. Here, Bhishma is explaining what he really felt. And he's also talking about how he danced with the gopis in Vrindavana and gave them pleasure. How he did this in Vrindavana. He's talking about all that. And remembering Kṛṣṇa because he's going to pass away. And he's also saying that he knows I am his servant. And therefore he is coming and standing in front of me because I am going to leave my body so that I can meditate on him. Saying this, he will look at Kṛṣṇa and close his eyes and give up his body. So this is a glorious way of passing away. Everybody should desire that I will fight for Kṛṣṇa consciousness in Prabhupada's moment and pass away like Bhishma, because this is what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said, I want to pass away like Bhishma, don't stop me. Because they were saying your health is not good, the doctor has told you should not travel, you should not do this. Prabhupada said, don't stop me. I want to die on the battlefield like Bhishma. I want to fight like Arjuna for Kṛṣṇa. Don't stop me from going out to preach and saving souls. So this is the spirit. When we see Bhishma's passing away, after fighting a war, he is a very old person in age. But he never gave up devotional service till the last of his life. Working for Kṛṣṇa till the last of his life. And then successfully leaving the body after a life filled with all sorts of services. So we all should desire that our life also be filled with many activities as service to Lord Kṛṣṇa. And we may be able to leave this body thinking of Kṛṣṇa in a life that is well spent in devotional service, in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nittai Gaura Premanande. Any question or comment? Yeah. That has got nothing to do with him being a devotee. Those are all material activities, according to situations in the world. That does not matter. Devotion is never influenced by anything in the material world. That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Which shloka is that? Who knows? Many are Bhakti Vaibhav students and all that. What is that shloka from the first canto? No. I am remembering only one sentence. If I get the first, I'll remember. What is it? Not getting. It says no, that ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. Ahaituki, no cause. The devotion bhakti has got no other cause but bhakti. So material situation does not matter. Bali Maharaj became a devotee. He is a asura. How did he become a devotee? He was fighting against the devas all the time, against Kṛṣṇa. How did he become a devotee? So your material situation is no criterion. How Putana got a place in the spiritual world? Kṛṣṇa is not seeing your material situation. He is only seeing your intention and your desire. He is not concerned with all the dualities in the world. He is absolute truth, and bhakti is absolute. So bhakti is never influenced by anything material. And Bhishma knows this very well. Although I am fighting on the other side, my devotion to Kṛṣṇa remains intact. It remains intact. I know that Kṛṣṇa will take away the arrows also. Because I know Kṛṣṇa so well that I know he will take away the arrows, and I know he will only win. I will lose. But my devotion will never be a loss. You may lose in the world, but you should not lose in devotional service. That is real victory. So Bhishma may have been a person who, died. But the way Arjuna could kill Bhishma is another story. Because I told you that Bhishma will be later asked by Yudhishthira, you told me you'll tell later how to kill you. Then he said, actually nobody can kill me. I am invincible by anybody here except Kṛṣṇa. But he won't do it because he is not using weapons. So you can do one thing. You can disempower me by bringing a woman in front of me. This fellow Shikandi is actually a woman. He's got a male, this thing. He is the original transgender person. So he said, you bring him in the front because he wants to kill me. Because he is Amba from previous life. She has vowed to take revenge on me because I brought her away from the Swayamvara, and she was already in love with Shalva, and now she could not. Shalva or who? Shalva, no? And he rejected her, and therefore she said, because of you my whole life is spoiled, I want to finish you. So she did tapasya, and she has come back as Shikandi, born as Shikandi. So she has to do what she has to do. She has to kill me. Put her in front, I will not take weapons because she is a woman. For you he is a man, but for me I know she is a woman. So according to my Kshatriya principles, I will drop the weapons. That time you can shoot me. He gave exactly the trick, and they did it. They put Shikandi in the front, and from behind Arjuna was shooting. Shikandi was thinking, I only shot Bhishma. And there's a big argument. You didn't shoot here. It's Arjuna who shot. No, I only shot Bhishma. So Bhishma on the bed of arrows, knew this, and he told them to do this. So he died. He was on the bed of arrows, still alive. So although he was on the other side, everybody from the Pandava side came to pay obeisances to him. See, this you must understand what is Kshatriya spirit. Why are you fighting on the other side? That is my clan, that is my tribe, that is my dynasty. I have to do my duty. I have to do my duty. I have promised, I'll keep it up. And Krishna also knew that is his promise, so he will keep it up. That's okay. He's doing his dharma as a Kshatriya. But that doesn't in any way stop him from being a devotee. Any other question or comment? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you were saying Bhishma wishes to die, killed by Krishna. But he didn't die at the moment, died later. He got wound from father. He will die wherever he desires. Could you please explain?
That's what happened. So, Krishna could not kill him because the battle ended. That was also by Krishna's plan. That is mentioned by Bhishma in the first shloka. You will see Sarvam Kalam Gratam Manye. He is telling the Yudhishthira that everything is due to time, and time is Krishna. He will explain that. So Krishna's plan is supreme. He very clearly says nobody knows his plan. I'll read that to you. As soon as Bhishma starts speaking, you will say, Aho kashtam aho anyayam. What great tribulations and sufferings you went through, Bhishma is telling Yudhishthira. All this because you are dharmas. These things are happening to you. So, and how my daughter-in-law Kunti suffered. Sarvam kala kritam manye bhavatam chayad apriyam sapalo yad vashe loko vayuriva ganavali. In my opinion, this is all due to inevitable time, under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion, Bhima, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. So you'll see in the beginning he will say that. He will recognize Kṛṣṇa and he will mention this. So as far as Bhishma's passing away is concerned, it is true that he got a boon that he can die when he wants. So he chose to die seeing Kṛṣṇa. It is not Uttarayana, Dakshinayana actually. That is for Varnashrama people. So many things are happening in layers in the Mahabharata. The real reason is, I will choose to give up my body seeing Kṛṣṇa, taking darshan of him and in remembrance of him. And that's what happened. Kṛṣṇa came to satisfy him. You want to see me before you pass away? So he came and stood in front of him. That shloka is also there. Because I am wanting to see him at the time of death, he has come in front of me. And he's standing there with his beautiful eyes, and he will say this and leave his body, close his eyes. So he chooses to die. Bhishma is not a materialistic person. I can die whenever I want. After I get the BMW, then I go to this thing, and then I get this, and then I do that, and then I stand for election, then afterwards I will die. He didn't think like that. He thought, after I get full satisfaction seeing Kṛṣṇa and he has accepted my devotional service to him, then I will pass away. That is his decision. Not Uttarayana, Dakshinayana or any of these other things. Those are all external things. That is why if you read the Bhagavatam, you will know what really. Because he is a devotee. He is a devotee and he is very well read and educated and experienced. So he knows when to die. He knows Bhagavad Gita very well. Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Kṛṣṇa is mentioned. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejati ante kalevaram. Kṛṣṇa is mentioned. You think Bhishma does not know that? So he passed away seeing Kṛṣṇa. Correct thing he did. Om Tat Sat.